There's the man. How you doing today, Thomas?
I'm doing well, my friend. How are you doing?
Good. You sound good. You look good. Spring is upon us.
Likewise. Yeah, man, it was warm yesterday. How warm was it out in Pittsburgh, out in Western PA for you yesterday?
We had about 69, 70, and today it's supposed to be over 80.
Well, it's only going to get it was in the upper 60s here. I think I saw 68 at my house. And then but it's only going to be in the 50s today according to the weather forecast. So we'll see. But then like next week we're supposed to have multiple days in the 80s.
Yeah, man, that's what I need. You guys know I pride myself on a good tan. So I got to get out. I got to get out early so I can be tan for like that's April. If I could be tan by May, that would get me May, June, July. I can carry a tan probably till late November, maybe into December. Now that's a goal. Hey, we wanted to talk goals. Speaking of which, first,
can I burst your bubble?
What?
I love the way you said that. What?
Yeah, I'm depressed already.
I saw a documentary, and I was watching a documentary, and they were talking to a dermatologist who specializes in skin cancers, and the quote that really stood out to me. I mean, she said a lot of things in the course of that documentary, but the quote that really stood out was, "There is no such thing as a healthy tan." And that was in response to a contributor in the documentary who was talking about how they felt that they looked healthier with a tan. And her response to that was, there is no such thing as a healthy tan. If you have a tan, it means the reason you have a tan is because your skin has sustained damage from exposure to the sun. So, yeah. Look,
but aren't there vitamins in the sun, man? Like I watched my friend Ben Courier the other day. I was watching his stand up. He's the failure guy, and he was talking about all these attributes of the sun. All these vitamins and stuff you could get it. So wouldn't those vitamins need to make me tan?
Well, okay. Let's just. I just want to clarify something here, because I think the way you say this is important. There are no vitamins in sunlight. Sunlight itself does not have vitamins, right?
Where are these vitamins at? Tell me.
Vitamins are the production of these vitamins, right? The raw materials exist in your system, and the production, specifically vitamin D, is probably the one you're thinking about, right? The production of vitamin D is stimulated by exposure to sunlight, right? There is nothing in the sunlight that transfers into your body that creates that is vitamin D. Like, the sun is not a delivery mechanism. It stimulates the internal production of vitamin D. But you don't have to get a tan in order to produce vitamin D. So
I believe you.
The point is, yeah, he says, I believe you, while for anybody who's just listening, he is shaking his head vehemently. But you don't have to get a tan to stimulate the production of vitamin D. You just have to be exposed to sunlight. So you can actually do wonders for your production of vitamin D simply by going outside and getting a little bit of exposure to early morning sunlight. That's before the sort of UV index is high. If you're anywhere in the northern hemisphere, if you go out in early morning light, spend about 10 to 20 minutes in early morning light outside before the UV index is high, you will not get tan, but you will stimulate your production of vitamin D, and it'll be good for you. So
Fair enough, but I watched Superman and I saw at one point when Superman almost dies, then he floats up into the sky, and when he's floating in the sky, he gets like real close to the sun, and all of a sudden these rays of the sun bring him back to life, and that is what the sun
Amen.
does for me. Yeah, Swifty.
again, I'm sorry, bursting your bubble. Superman's an alien. So you really can't compare your physiology to an alien.
Tom might get kicked out of this room. All right, so here we go, man. Not the smartest guys in the room. Let's talk goals. Let's talk marketing, branding, promotion. Let's talk summer. Do you change things in the summer? Swifty, man, get us rolling. What do you got for us?
Oh, definitely change things in the summer, right? I mean, especially if you live in the Midwest. You've been
is that allowed? Is that allowed though? Like from a brand or a marketing? Like some people go, they're just vacant. So what do you do?
Well, I don't believe in going vacant, but I spend far less time on social media because, like you, I mean, to Tom's point, he's 100% correct. But the sun is necessary. If people do not go out in the sun, and here's the thing. Scientists have not done themselves any justice these last 10 years. And they've made them, they will make us believe what they want to believe. And I know there is some science and there is skin cancer that is due to the too much sun exposure. But that's what they fail to tell you is a lot of that's pre-genetically already in those people, because there are plenty of people who are tan goddess and goddesses that never get skin cancer because it's not a predisposition in their skin, or in their bodies. Life is too short not to spend time outside and get sun. Tom's a marathon runner. I guarantee he gets tons of sun. I'm sure he uses SPF 3000.
We need to watch Tom all season. Like I want to go
or
back
whatever.
100 episodes, like every weekly, and we'll probably see Tom from like 6 months ago, dark as can be.
Sure, and whatnot, and I agree. If you're out in the sun like him, running and swimming or doing things, you should protect yourself. I'm all for that. But the sun is healthy for everybody. Like anything, I think it's everything is okay within moderation, right? So go out, get your tan. I think most of us who live in the Midwest do disappear a little bit from social media during the summer because we've been stuck inside for a lot of it. So I think, for mental health, for sun health, for wind therapy, just for grounding, which is extremely helpful. And all the things we do outside, which produce those chemicals, like Tom was saying, that are in our body, whether that's testosterone or all those other chemicals that make us feel good and whatnot. So I'm all for the change of seasons and getting out and thriving at a different level. I think sometimes it even helps us appreciate what we have. I'm complete.
Thank you, Mr. Swift. And I see Brian, just so like when we talk about consistency and stuff, you'll see Brian makes a lot of videos outside and stuff where he's doing, like when he's out for his walk or out doing his band work with his arms and stuff. You'll see he's making videos talking about it. So he's taking that opportunity to cross pollinate. Julie, give us some tips. We're talking branding. We're talking goals. My goal is a tan. Tom says my goal is bad. Hey, I want to, just for anybody that watches the live stream, I've never noticed, but Tom has some cool tattoos here. So Tom, show that arm again. I mean, I don't know how many you got, but that one arm, that's nice looking. He was like scratching. He's got some like tribal warrior here. He's got some guns on him. So
to clarify, none of it is tribal. I don't have any tribal tattoos. I did not fall victim to like that 90s tattoo trend of getting tribal tattoos. I have no tribal tattoos. It's all black and gray.
What if we have like 10 people listening right now that have tribal tattoos from the 90s?
And they're, hey, that's fine if that's what floats their boat. It's just it's not my thing. But maybe it was early 2000s. I don't know. Either way, I have no tribal tattoos. They're all black and gray, so no color. But most of my tattoos are sort of Celtic in design. So I've got a bunch of kind of Celtic stuff, but I have like half sleeves on both arms and then both sides of my chest. And I'm not gonna take my shirt off.
Dominick, you're being wordsmithed to death today. But correct me if I'm right. Weren't the Celts a tribe? So in a sense, if you have a lot of Celtic stuff, it could be considered tribal Celtic tattoos then.
Ouch, man. There you go. People are coming after you today, Tom.
The Celts were a collection of tribes.
The flag is planted.
So they were tribal.
The Celts were a collection of tribes, but tribal tattoos are a specific style of tattoo, and none of my tattoos are tribal tattoos.
Except if you're Celtic, then they are tribal.
Oh, all right. Come on. Okay. See, we could get into anything. We can get into tattoos here. We can get into sun, vitamin D, but we're moving on to somebody that has so much grace. You ever watch Seinfeld where there was an episode where Elaine didn't have grace and she wanted to have grace, and she's like, you can't have a little grace. You either have grace or you don't have grace. Julie is somebody with grace. Julie from MediaCasters. What's going on, Julie? Share us a tip with how to stay consistent and jump in on all this. What do you got?
Well, I love how this conversation just deviates and weaves through all these different subjects, but we're going to go back to the topic of seasonal branding. I love this topic because, to be quite honest, when you mention the summer, I start to panic because that means all my kids are home. And that means it's really hard for me to focus. And I've done it for several years, but it does give me anxiety thinking about, oh my gosh, how am I going to do all this stuff? It's really understanding your audience, what they need. Be even more focused, be even more targeted on your audience and be clear on the messaging. And then manage your time and do it in advance. Batch episodes, batch social media posts, batch blogs. Have a clear target for those months so you can get out and enjoy. And because I'm going to say this, I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to drop my mic. Work is not everything. Okay. Work is not everything. So understanding what does your audience need during the summertime? And I mean, maybe we can get a couple of examples of what you guys do in the summertime and what is the need and how can you fulfill it? How can you exceed their expectations? So be very conscious with your time too, so you can enjoy. Thank you guys.
Julie, thanks. And this can happen. Sorry, Tom. This can happen at like in the winter around Christmas time and things like that too, or holiday season. My internet's acting weird, but you can hear me. Yeah, so it's something to really think about. How do you plan for it? Do you schedule? What is you knowing it's going to happen? What do you do? Go on, Tom.
I was just going to say, I mean, to Julie's point, like saying that work is not everything, right? And if you're going to take time off during the summer, I think that's great. And nobody is going to look at that and go, how dare you take time off during the summer, right? Nobody in your audience or in your community or, patrons of your business are gonna, question you taking time off in the summer because the odds are they're doing the exact same thing. I think that a good way to sort of bridge that gap a little bit is to simply be honest, right? About what you're doing, right? If you're planning to take time off, tell your audience, right? I'm going to be gone for the month of August, or we're taking 2 weeks to spend time together as a family and go do X, Y, and Z, or whatever the case may be. And just tell your audience what you're going to do, right? Be forthcoming with that kind of information. Don't try to skirt around the issue. Just tell them. I think often people get caught up in this idea that they have to, or that they can't include the fact that they're a normal person with a personal life outside of the business or the brand, that they have to keep those two worlds completely separate. But you're actually doing yourself a disservice if you are honest with your audience, if you tell them that you're going to take time off, that you're going to spend time with your family, that you're planning vacations and doing things with your kids, etc., then what you're doing is not only being transparent with them, which they will value, right? But then also you're creating opportunities for them to identify with you, to relate to you as a human being, right? And that is going to enable them and create opportunity for them to feel good about supporting you and your brand and your business. And at the end of the day, that is the key to growing a successful brand, is making people feel good about supporting your business. So be honest with them, right? Be relentlessly authentic, like we talk about here, and share with them what your plans are, what you're doing over the summer, right? Tell them, give them the opportunity to, to relate to you as a human being and not just as a business. So I'll yield the mic there.
Tom, so what about this idea that you are either there or you're not? So on a certain day that somebody is looking for the kind of content that MediaCasters puts out, and now because of vacation, now because of holiday, now because of children, now because of your parents being elderly, you're not there. So they go to look for legendeering content because they need to know more about letting your voice be heard, and all of a sudden you're not there, so they go find somebody else. Is that a too big of a risk?
I mean, look, if they're going to jump ship on you because you don't happen to be there one time when they go looking for your content, then like they were never really that invested to begin with. I think if somebody is invested in you, invested in being a member of your community, and is truly a fan of the content you put out, they might be disappointed that there isn't a new episode of content out, or that you didn't do your live show, or you didn't do, your podcast, right? You didn't put out a new episode of your podcast, whatever the case may be, right? They may be disappointed by that, but that's okay, right? Just be honest with them and they'll get over it. I don't think it's that big a deal. But for sure, I mean, I don't know. I think it's okay. Look, at the end of the day, right? I mean, like, let's make ourselves a case study here, Dom, right? Like, we occasionally skip a week when conflicts happen. Like the week I got married, we didn't do this live stream, right? We didn't have this room that week. I was crazy busy with the wedding. You were chasing basketball teams around and watching college hoops, right? And so we didn't have the room that week. Guess what? The next week when we did, people showed up, right? Were people maybe disappointed we didn't have the room that Wednesday? I mean, I don't know. We can take a straw poll, right? And just ask people who were here. Were they disappointed we didn't have the room that week? Possibly. But a lot of the same people who are here every week are back, right? Every week, whether we miss a week or not. And it's because they're not here, they're not going to jump ship just for that one time you miss it. So I wouldn't stress about it, right? I wouldn't really worry about it.
Okay, let's keep this rolling. Hey, not the smartest guys in the room, as we often mess things up or do weird stuff. Yep. Or internet hourglasses like mine's doing today, but it is what it is on the live stream. Hey, John, so how do you stay consistent? You got any tips for consistency? Any tips for those times when you're overwhelmed, those times like when you go away? What do you do, my man?
Yeah, first of all, I live in South Florida, so we have sunshine all year round, and I don't change my habits for promoting the show. It's about 80% of my time goes on social media, titles, metadata, keywords, all that stuff. So, however, just to clarify a point, sun does cause lots of freckles and cancer removal scars in a guy like me. So, and I have no tribal tattoos either. I have multiple. But like Tom, they are of Irish descent and religious and family background. So having said that, what I do is this, and here's a little secret tip. Number one, I got to put content to the radio stations every weekend. If not, and they don't care if it's July or December. They don't care. If I'm not there, now I have a show on there, I'm going to lose those stations. I just got my 99th station. So what I do is I do repeats. And for podcasts, I used to take the entire time between Thanksgiving and January 1st off, and my numbers would plummet. So now what I do is when I don't have new content, which is easy to do because I do, like Julie said, I batch ahead of time. I'm always ahead of time. Is I'll re-release an older episode. Excuse me. I remaster it digitally a little bit, do some experimentation with the title, show notes as well, and I list it as a special episode. So I keep the pipeline full. And that way, if I'm going to take a week's vacation or I'm going to be out of town with my wife or traveling to another country, I've got content in the pipeline. It is not that hard for me to keep stuff in there. But the social media part never ends. So now I'm hiring a salesperson to do that. And the next person, if that's going to be social media, so I can take some off my plate. But I have to produce content every weekend for radio. If I don't have it, the stations that some have been on for 5+ years will drop me. Some that have taken 5 years to develop, they'll drop me. So when that mic is supposed to be open and show content for me supposed to be there, it better be there or someone else will fill the spot. End of story.
John, I hear you, man, and I think that's a lot of the fear that other people have, and you're showing us validating some of those fears in your own validating why some of those fears are reasonable that some of us have. So thank you for that. So we're talking not the smartest guys in the room. We were talking a little bit about goals. We were talking about consistency. In one, are there any tips or tricks? Two, can you just say, like Tom was saying, part of it is letting people know, hey, I'm here. So or doing like Mr. Brian P. Swift does, makes a lot of content based on that outdoor summer type thing. But can you let people in on your journey? Hey, I just had an author right now that rode her bike across Africa for 8 days. Cool as heck. I mean, like, she's talking about being in like lions preserves and things like that. It's like the rainbows in Africa and stuff like that. Wow. But so I'd love to go on that journey with her. But can you be I'm sure the internet in the middle of the wherever she was might not be that good. So there might be some times where she drops out and things like that. So all right, Julie Rock, what you got? Anything for us? You can weigh in on any of this, but we will keep this. I said one day, I told my wife this. I said we're going to keep this ship like on the road or something. I said something completely ridiculous like that. So today I figured it out. We're going to keep this ship selling with Julie Rock. Julie, what do you got for us?
Hey everyone, what do I have for you? We're talking consistency, right?
Check.
All right. Well, I mean, one of my tools is just using my schedule. Using my calendar is my way of keeping consistent and just kind of like having everything pre-added, all my activities. When I'm doing well, I have, once a week, I do what we call the diary detox. We detox our calendar once a week, and we spend I spend a half hour just like looking at the week to come, scheduling all the things that I need to have accomplished and actually putting them on my schedule so that I know that I have time spaces for all the different activities. And then I run my day through the schedule. So I'm consistently looking at that schedule and looking at what I need to accomplish. So that is my tip of the day for staying consistent. Thank you.
Good one, Julie. And Tom used to talk about scheduling like activities, and our friend Johnny talked about that. And I tried to, like, you guys convinced me a year ago to start using Calendly. I should, come on, they should sponsor me, because basically it was scheduling that time. So like I talk a lot about like trying to front load my weekly schedule with business activities. IGA, I have a sign over there that says IGA, that's income generating activities. So I try to usually start my day and start my week with flooding with those kind of things. And then as the week goes on, like Thursday, Friday, I really get into the more creative things and if I'm going out filming and stuff like that, I try to schedule that for Thursday, Friday. So Julie, I am trying to schedule those times, like you're saying, on a schedule. So very impactful. Thank you for sharing that. Holly, where you been, man? My friend Holly. Holly does some editing for me. She's a dear friend. She's great. Holly, what do you got for us today?
Hey, good morning, Dominick. Good morning, everyone. Thinking about the conversation, think about summer. Summer typically for me is a better time to work. And I'm kind of the opposite of Julie because I don't have kids in the summer. I take care of grandkids while my daughter teaches and son-in-law works. And so while she's off in the summer, I don't have the kids. So I kind of ramp up what I do through the summer. But I will tell you, I have become a huge fan of batching socials. And I just started doing that right after Christmas. And it has made such a huge difference in my time. Takes a little bit of time to get it, set up and rolling. But once it is, oh my goodness, it is such a time relief.
Okay, hold on. What do you mean batching socials? What do you got going on?
So using some type of a program, there's several out there where I will take, and usually it's like morning to afternoon, it's several hours, and I will do anywhere from 10 to 15 weeks worth of social media posts and, the content and the things I want to put out and schedule them for, like 10 weeks out and push the buttons. And at the end of the day, I'm done. And then all I have to do, I don't have to do anything else if I don't want to, but, because they'll all come out as they're supposed to for the next however many weeks I schedule. But then I can go in when I have time and add in, a new post or a special post, and I do add my podcast posts in weekly because they vary depending on the guest. But just my tips and tricks and, information and things like that, I schedule, and it takes that weight off of me every day of trying to get media out. So I'm loving that.
Holly, I love this strategy, and especially because Holly straight off, she knew we would come back and probably she's saying, I'm also doing the current stuff too. So she's topical, like let's say something happens today, sun shines, or something that applies to her business. She's making those adjustments, but she's also scheduling out. Like there's no reason if you have a podcast that you can't schedule, reshare for the next 26 weeks, previous episodes twice a week. Hey, don't miss episode 1. Don't miss episode 100. I had this person on. If you're an author, there's no reason. Please, if I have any authors in this room, there is no reason why every Tuesday you couldn't share an Amazon link or a picture of your book and say, hey, if you're ever thinking about XYZ, pick up this, or don't forget to pick up my book. You can change it different times every week. It's such low hanging fruit, but I'm just sorry, Tom, I'm going down a path here, but authors, so many authors give up on their books, right?
Yeah.
Or they don't. I posted about that when it came out 3 months ago. Well, you met 1,000 new people since then, 100 new people. They weren't looking at social media that day. Post every week a different time about your book. Post it on Twitter, post it on Amazon, post the Amazon link, the Barnes & Noble link, the Goodreads link, the blah, blah, blah. Go on, Tom.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, the question then is like, is the book still for sale? Because if the answer is yes, then you should be promoting it.
Yeah,
right?
Does it still make an impact? Yes, go.
I mean, is it still for sale, right? Like at its base, right? Is it still for sale, right? Because if you're not interested in talking about it anymore, if you don't feel it has any impact, like then take it down, stop selling it, right? But like if it's still for sale, you should be doing something to promote it, right? And then the other thing I actually wanted to ask Holly, I was curious. She's talking about, different platforms for like scheduling social media. I wanted to ask her which one she uses and why she landed on that platform.
Hey, Tom. I actually use Social Pilot for my batching and scheduling, and there are several out there, and I did look at several, and I don't know. I looked at several different things. I felt like after my research, which wasn't extensive, but it was a little bit in depth, I felt like Social Pilot was one of the most reliable to do what I needed to do and where I needed it to go. And it served all of my purposes. I do not batch reels. And I'll be honest, I don't know if Social Pilot can do that or not. It might can. That's something I'm just getting into myself. So I really am talking about posts and not reels, but I do like Social Pilot a lot. But there are others out there that other people use and like as well. But I just liked the reliability that I got from it.
Cool. And I'd love to, as we keep going, Dom, I'd love to hear from other folks and see what platforms they use, how they stay consistent, right? As we keep talking about this. If anybody else has solutions.
Yeah, and anybody we spoke to already, I'm wondering from John or Julie, Brian, Julie Rock, is there anything you guys are using? I tried Hootsuite and it wasn't for me. I tried, I'm like, this is harder than just scheduling them I use typically within the apps, and I'm glad LinkedIn now has a little time or little scheduler in LinkedIn, but I do not have one that I'm comfortable with at this point. So John, go on.
Yeah, my partners used Hootsuite for a while, and they ran into problems with particularly Facebook black flagging them because they didn't like the content coming from an aftermarket thing. So I use Business Suite, which is a free app, and I do most of my scheduling for Facebook there. And the other ones I don't schedule; I just post. I post on so many of them, but what I post on there is the new episodes of the show, and they're Facebook and the other ones are very similar. Instagram's done differently. The rest I post periodically too. It's kind of hit or miss. So, but the big thing for me is Facebook, and Hootsuite. It created a lot of problems. I'm going to check out the one that Holly talked about.
Thanks, John. Good to know. Anybody else chime in or keep chiming in throughout? And always, just so we live stream at the same time. 2, we have our clubhouse up here. So typically we start these conversations and then we go left to right, try to meet everybody. If you want to come up, if you want to ask a question, if you want to contribute on a subject, just flash on that subject if we're talking. But typically we go left to right, and I can only see however many faces at a time. So sometimes the stage gets bigger or something, and somebody will send me an inbox and say, I was flashing and you went to this person. That's because I can only see so many people. My bad, man. So there was no malice as part of it, so that's how this ship sails. Go on, Tom.
I just wanted to clarify something too, because you keep saying left to right, but if people are watching the live stream, there is no left to right, right? It's vertical. So I just wanted to clarify the way it looks on the live stream is not what Dom is looking at, right? That is the desktop platform of Club Deck. What Dom is looking at is more like the Brady Bunch layout, right? So it's left to right, top to bottom, right? So that's how Dom goes through. That's kind of like how he decide, how we decide who we're going to next. And it's genuinely it organizes people in sort of chronological order, first the mods in chronological order, and then other folks on stage in chronological order too. So we try to do it that way because we feel like it's equitable. And also, sometimes we skip around if there's something that we know somebody has a particular area of expertise on. If we get on a topic, we'll jump to somebody who can speak specifically to that. But, definitely please be patient. We always get to everybody who's on stage during the course of the room. We don't avoid people. We don't skip people. None of that kind of stuff. So be patient. If you feel like it was your turn, I guarantee you it was an honest mistake. If you feel like you got skipped over, just take a deep breath, relax, and I promise you'll get a chance to speak.
Good, man. And we do try to keep it concise and quick so everybody can get, there's times where somebody might take us off the rails, on whatever subject, or maybe they're struggling to get to a point. Part of this is working on your message, working on your platform. I believe in Clubhouse is a great place to share your message. Some people might struggle to make that message concise or speak in a concise way. So sometimes they get off on a tangent, and we try to bring them back on the rails, but we don't want to interrupt and be rude either. We try to be nice people. So that's what we got going on here, man. So all right, let's keep this ship. I'm done with that saying. Let's keep this clubhouse room moving. Okay, Alexandra looks like she's got. I wonder if her hair really does have that streak in it. But Alexandra in white. What do you got going on? What do you think, Alexandra? Want to weigh in on these topics?
Oh no, I'm just listening for now, but thank you guys.
Okay, well, we're glad you're here. I don't think I've met Alexandra before, so.
And I was here last week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember. I started reading the bio, so we are glad you're here. But I think this is a new picture. Is this a new picture since last week?
It is.
Okay. See, I tell my family I'm photographic, and I wanna say I'm sure I'm not, but if I tell people that long enough, maybe that I will be. But I do think I remember these pictures. Prof T, what's going on? Where you been, Prof T? I missed you. I've been watching all your journeys on social media. I'm a Prof T fan. What do you got going on, Prof T?
Good morning, everybody. I am a fan of yours as well. Hello to my friends. It's been a minute. It's Prof T, where it's a little chilly and a little spritzy rainy, otherwise known as Teresa Agostinelli. So yeah, I've been really busy. It's that time of year for me. And I love networking. So as far as being consistent, I think for me, my consistency is, I'll give you two quick tips that I do. My consistency is keeping my face in the place in my own backyard. So I am always going to networking events. I'm scouring my area for networking events that are relevant to what I do. So I am a big fan of face-to-face networking, shaking hands, talking to people. There's a method to that, and it is socialization, but it isn't. It's a business. So that's number one for consistency. Keep your face in the place and follow up and follow through with the people you meet at these events. If you find a couple people that you feel are relevant to what you do and you want to collaborate. And then secondly, and I've always said this, and you guys have always said this, Tom and Dom, always love your input and advice. And I've learned a lot from this room already, especially, Tom, what you just said a few minutes ago. Is your book for sale? Then why aren't you consistently promoting it? Ding, ding, ding. Thank you for that. And my second tip is, with consistency on social media, repost stuff. I've got thousands of things in my computer, quotes or short articles or a tip for the day or some older model quick reels you can just up there. And again, of course, social media, you've got to pick and choose what outlet is relevant for you, what you do, and you got to be consistent in that arena. So that's my two tips. Keep your face in the place, face-to-face network, and always have your social media on hand that you can repost and reuse. Thank you. This is Prof T. Always good to see everybody. Take care. Back to you, Tom and Dom.
Prof T, love all your tips. You're going to take us down some new routes here. So I love this idea of being out there as many ways as you can, is what your calendar allows. So I had an author the other day that I suggested maybe try this podcast, and they sent me back and they were like, I don't think that's a good idea. And I replied back, well, I would suggest for an author that you try to get out there as many places as you can. You need to dance with new people. I'm not saying completely out of whack, but meet new people. Your market is only as big as the 5,000 people you know, and there is only a percentage of that market you are going to get. Only a certain percentage read books. Only a certain percentage have enough money at that time to buy your product. You need to get out and meet new people. You need to get out face to face, like Prof T is. You need to get out to new circles where you can drop your message in. So don't limit yourself and say, well, I don't have time to meet this person, or this person is exactly what I'm talking about. Well, maybe there's people there that are looking for that message. So see who can your message serve and get out there as much as you can. So that was one. Then the second thing, I'm not getting off this subject of promoting whatever it is you're promoting, the podcast, the book. As long as like our friend John, as long as your podcast adds value. So John doesn't talk about himself and when he's promoting his podcast, he tells you what the show's about. So rather than saying, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, here's my book, it's great, it's the best book ever. How does that book help somebody else? If you could add value with the content, and then say, hey, if you want to learn more about it, it's in here. Add value. We talked about this. You'll find out more in that book. Here's link. So you need to find out as many different ways as you can to add value based on your content to people's lives. And then you are just sharing, the links and different ways to share. Hey, share it on Barnes & Noble, share it on Facebook, share it with a picture, share it with a picture of you, share it with a picture of you holding the book, share it with a picture of a woman that is being helped by the content. So there's 1,000 ways to reshare that content. Tom, I'm passionate about this subject, so we could do a whole nother a whole week of shows on how to not give up on. I see Robert Kiyosaki in this Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm going to look over here at these books. And this message is a message that's been promoted for 30 years. Whenever the title of the book's been promoted, they didn't give up on the book or this Chicken Soup for the Soul. It's a brand, and they keep promoting the brand over and over and over and over again. They don't give up on it a month later or a year later. The books still have value, so they don't give up on them. They just keep finding, here, it gives value to you like this. It gives value to you like that. And then you're like, hey, okay. At one of those points, you're going to say, this is something I need to know about. So I pick up that book. Okay, sorry. You're getting me worked up here. I was trying to be calm today. Tom's inciting me. I look at him and he's just smiling. What works me up even more. Go on, Tom. Go on.
No. I was just going to say, I think you're absolutely right, though. I think, I think people do. There's a tendency for people to think about content, whether that's a book or a video or a blog post or an article they've written, right? I mean, content comes in a lot of shapes and forms and sizes. But there's a tendency for people to think of content as single use. And I don't know why that is exactly. I'd love to kind of dig into that question a little bit. I mean, I would guess that it's because we live in a very single-use dominated consumer marketplace that most of the things we buy on a regular basis are single use, i.e. when they stop working, right? You throw it away and you buy a new one, right? So I don't know if it's because of that or what. I mean, I'm just postulating a theory, right? But people think of content the same way. They think if you post it, once you post it or share it or publish it, right? Whatever medium we're dealing with, once it's out the first time, a lot of people think that's it. It's no good to me anymore. It's dead to me. I can't use it again. And nothing could be further from the truth, right? It's not going to be new to everyone, but it will be new to someone, right? So always reshare, repurpose, remind people that you've created this thing, right? I'm actually in the early stages of doing this myself with my book, right? My book's going to be coming out in September, probably right after Labor Day. Don't have an official launch date yet, but somewhere right in that neighborhood, right after Labor Day, the very tail end of summer, because that is technically still summer. Fall doesn't start until the third week or the fourth week of September, whatever the third week of September, right? But yeah, like I'm starting to go through this now, and I'm looking at ways to sort of build out not only the launch of this book, but products around that launch, similar to kind of what you were talking about with Chicken Soup for the Soul, products around this book that will help not only drive sales of the book, but also sustain my business, right? And so this is a much bigger thing than just paper bound together, right? It's not single use. It is something very much in the case of the Chicken Soup for the Soul book that you talked about. Also, I came to mind Stephen Covey, who wrote was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I think is the title of the book, the original title. That book spawned a whole consulting industry, right, around it that is now run by his son. Stephen Covey passed away. His son now runs that business, right? His son has written books. They've republished the original book, right, with added content in it. So, like, you know, it's not single use. It's far from single use. If it's a good piece of messaging and a good piece of content that has a ton of value, then you can use it over and over and over again, repackage and repurpose and readapt it and keep using it across platforms. So don't think of content as single use, because trust me, it ain't. Absolutely not.
Spot on, brother. And think of like all of us with like the reels and the reels and the TikToks and reels, TikTok, shorts, all those different ways. Right there, 3 different places. How many times? How many days? With music, without music, with captions, without captions, with captions. A shorter version of it, 15 seconds, 30 seconds. There are so many ways that it is the same, but it's not the same. It's that core message. Can you take that core message and do it for 15 seconds? Can you take that core message and make it 30? Can you, when I used to do some more speaking, and I had been in the restaurant business, and I'd do like, my core one was like the recipe for success. And I'd tailor it to a business, that kind of thing. But I could do a recipe for success in an hour and a half, a 4-hour workshop, a 10-minute speech, a 5-minute speech, a 30-second speech, or I could take it down. And sometimes I'd go to like basketball camps and stuff like that. And I'd have like these little pieces of paper that I'd hand out to the kids, and I'd change it and give them like, hey, 10 steps to succeeding on and off the court or something like that. And I could do it in 10 seconds or on a piece of paper. So work that message, man, and use it over and over and over. And there's nothing wrong with repurposing it. You need to repurpose it. Not only is there nothing wrong with it, it's what you should be doing. So, okay, we're going to keep this cruising. I got to calm down today. You got me worked up. Okay, we're going to go with our friend Jason 72. Sometimes I jump in his clubhouse. The other day I jumped in and he was jamming the Blues Traveler, and then I just got calm as can be. So, Jason, weigh in on all this. What do you got for us, my man?
Oh, I mean, a couple things. What Tom was talking about. Why do people get into single use? I think that it's a lot of times they don't even go and re-listen to their old product, whatever they've made, and just look at, maybe I can divide into, several different issues, or develop from that one episode, which could be a general, but then being more specific, overlooking that gold. Really, that's where it's at, is you're looking at how you can take. Some people's attention span is not for a full hour in a podcast or even 30 minutes. It's more like 10 minutes or 5 minutes if you're lucky. So taking, short form and repurposing through short form says a lot. And that's for someone who really wants to articulate what they want to say, and maybe something that they wanted to add, or something they wanted to be isolated, that it helps promote, what they're saying. Because at the end of the day, we're all storytellers. That's what we are, whether it's in the moment or in the past. And then the other part is like the difference between a podcaster and just a live streamer. I think that there's a big difference. Podcasters, in my experience, they don't mind repurposing at all. They know that that's a big part of it. So to get to the one big episode where it has everything, you want to direct towards people if they're so inclined. But if they're not, then taking the smaller, more isolated, specific topic based, it will help them. But many people who got into this industry in the last 3 years because of COVID, that said a lot. People just felt like they had time to sit down, stay in their home. They've been so busy and they felt like, well, I have something to tell. I have time to tell my story. People would be interested. And so they hear about podcasting and they hear about streaming, and there's all these nice gadgets and platforms and apps. And so, I mean, to answer that one, but for consistency, I've struggled with this, and I've gone through a lot of things, personal and professional. So I've gotten to the point where it's now I'm scheduling probably 12 episodes out. That's it. And then from there, give myself a couple week break and, let myself listen to my content. Going back to the other point is, I like going and listening to my own stuff. So I'll just land there.
Hey, thank you, brother. Jason, do you now you said you listen to your own content? I did too. I try to go back in and listen, and I'm like, oh, that was dopey, or I was too slow, or it was too fast, or I didn't make a point, I mumbled. I said, I used to have a sign by my computer. It said, no, I don't effing know. And the reason was that because sometimes I'd do a podcast or something and I would say, and it was so annoying to me when I listened back that I put this little sign on my computer that said, no, I don't effing know. And that was a reminder, excuse my language, but that's not that bad, to not say that kind of thing. So Jason, tell us about the listening back.
I just have to
process.
laugh that Dominic, you just censored yourself and apologized for cursing in the same sentence. It's just really funny.
Yeah. Sorry.
And you said sorry for my language.
And so somebody told me, like, if you're gonna swear, you should just swear, like even in a book, just say that word. Don't like put, like some people want to say the word and then they put like little stars after the HIT or something like that. Just say shit. But hey, I am who I am. Go on, Tom.
Yeah. Fuck it. Just say it.
Yeah, just say it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Won't do it. Jason, tell me about.
I was also going to say I should maybe put a sign on my computer that says "right?" or "not right" or something like that, because that's mine. Anybody who's listened to me talk has heard me say that 100 times. It's just one of those things. It's what I use as a quick pause break in my speech pattern, is to say something, end the sentence, and then go right. But then blah, 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 blah. I use it like a conjunction all the time when I'm talking. And I just had to stop myself from using it right there. So I feel your pain with the thing, having those phrases or words.
I don't effing know. Hey, how many people in this room, if you want a flash mic or something, listen back to content? Now, I'm not talking all of it, but like something that you've done where you're like, okay, yeah, I listen back. Yeah, interesting.
All right. Flash your mic if sometimes when you listen back to content, you feel like you're a little bit kind of like patting yourself on the back or stroking your own ego a little bit as you listen back to yourself. I definitely get that a little.
How many listen back and say, I need to delete that because it was terrible? Yeah.
So it's not that I'm doing it to stroke my ego. It's actually the opposite. This actually just happened yesterday. Again, it happens almost every time. I recorded a quick video, and as I'm recording, the language in my head is, this is terrible. You just messed up. Oh my gosh. What was that stumble? This is awful. You're gonna have to re-record it. And then I watched it back. I'm like, oh no, it's okay. So it's not that it's an ego stroke. It's more like a making sure that I'm not terrible stroke.
Jimmy, I watch your stuff and I saw that you said the other day you recorded something and you had something on your tooth the whole time.
I did. Okay, so if you've heard of Entrepreneurs on Fire, it's one of the biggest podcasts on the market. It's been one of the first ever. It's been around since forever. And John Lee Dumas is the one on the mic, but Kate Erickson Dumas, his wife, is the one who's behind the mic. And I've known her for years, and I was really excited to have her as a guest. And it's been a journey for Jemmy to get on video, and I'm having season 3 of my show on video. And I go to edit it, and I'm like, wait, what is this? And I'm like, crap, I had something on my teeth the entire time. But instead of cowering like old Jemmy would have done, and Holly has been there since my journey of being with it, instead of cowering, I leaned into it, and yes, I made a reel about something being on my teeth.
Hey, we salute you. Good job. Good job. Tom's shaking his head as well.
I'm
Go on.
nodding for the record. I'm not shaking my head in as a negative thing. I'm nodding.
Me and Tom might fight. I'm feeling feisty today, and now we're gonna fight. We're just gonna.
I was nodding. I was nodding. Shaking your head is disagreement.
Drive to
right?
wherever he's at and physically fight.
I'm just being
Although
clear. Shaking your head means you're disagreeing. Nodding means you're agreeing. I was definitely agreeing. That was a good move
I used to fight
producer
all the
Jemmy's
time
part.
when I was in high school, and like I don't know, like people just wanted to fight. I guess I was dopey, and like at my house, like we watched like boxing and stuff growing up. Like my parents and stuff were all into boxing, so like I swear, like if I got in a fight at school, my dad would be like, "Good job," or I'd get a fight at ice skating or at the mall or basketball, and I don't think I ever got in trouble for it. Now, what I will say is I lost half of those. So half of them I won, the other half I lost. So I'm bigger now, but I'm older, so I don't know. I don't know if I could take Tom or not. He's got those tattoos, like we mentioned, so he looks tough. Anyway, all right.
I'm not a fighter.
Yeah,
That's not my thing.
And I just pull muscle before I even got you. I like start to swing. Ow.
I mean, you'd have to catch me too if you wanted to. If you wanted to fight, you'd have to catch me. That'd be my superpower at this stage of my life. I could just keep running away, and you'd never catch me.
See, that's smart. I was in Miami one time, and we were walking along with a group of salespeople. We're walking along like the beach boardwalk at night, and it can be a little suspect at times. And somebody was kind of following us, and I said to the group of people, I said, "Well, if this guy attacks us, I won't be able to help, but I could run for help real fast." And that's what I would do. All right, we're moving on. Joyce, help us out here. We get off subject. So how do we stay consistent? Tom asked, is there scheduling apps, what we should be using? And we talked about 10 more things, and I don't even know right now what those are. But Joyce, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I did lose track, but all right, consistency. I'm very consistent. The scheduling thing, I don't like social media, but I know I have to do it. So I've been doing more of it on my own. And I do have a social media manager who uses Hootsuite for scheduling out, but she's leaving in May. So I am working on scheduling out for the next 14 weeks of the show because I do take the summer off. And I have so much content, I realize, from 4 years of doing this. That I am spending the next 14 weeks kind of figuring out what I can release in terms of blogs or other things and incorporating new things like reels, which are new for me. So that's what I've been doing. It's the Hootsuite, the scheduling thing I think is interesting. I've heard from cannabis marketers that sometimes we get a ding for that. Everything in cannabis is weird. So I should be posting more on the actual site, but I've had a lot of issues trying to schedule stuff on Instagram. So I'll stay with my Hootsuite for a while. And and I started using the LinkedIn newsletter to re-release blogs too. So like different ways of getting it out. So I'm learning a lot from this site. I do get a little intimidated because there's always more to do, but I feel like I'm doing okay. You know, consistency, organization. I'm a mom. I have boundaries and all that, and I'm good. That's where I am.
Joyce, tell me about this LinkedIn newsletter. Good idea. So are you scheduling this out, or are you writing something and like, hey, on episode 1, we talked about how to use cannabis for tinnitus that I have in my ears and they ring all the time. So
yeah, I've been kind of going back and forth on how to use the LinkedIn newsletter, which I didn't even know. I have 900 and something subscribers, which I think I sent something out as an article, which sent out the newsletter. So it exists. Anyway, so originally my idea was I have an email newsletter that I do through my email list every Monday that has the new show and some other things. But I was thinking originally to use the LinkedIn newsletter as another way to promote the show itself. And then I was thinking of using the newsletter as, have I talked about this? I haven't. I've written a canna fiction. I call it a cannabis romance. Which I actually have 60,000 words written, and was thinking that I would use the newsletter, like a chapter a week or something like they used to do in the old Reader Digest thing. I was thinking of using it that way, but now I think I'm just going to be re-releasing blogs. I have lots and lots of blogs that go back to 2018 on it, and kind of moving from there. So yeah, I don't know. The newsletter is an interesting new thing. I'm not quite sure I'm using it right, but I'm actually talking to a LinkedIn specialist today, so I'm going to ask her. Oop, that's it. I'm done.
Thank you. You'll have to report back to us and see what the specialist, any tips from the specialist. That's Joyce. Yeah, she's like, no, I'm not reporting back to you.
Oh no, of course. Yeah. No, I think I'm losing connection. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Anyway, stay the course.
I have a big red light. Yeah. So I think the LinkedIn is the different, again, professionalism in cannabis. I am on Instagram. I am on Facebook, but LinkedIn is really my best connections. Making a certain level of people who are founders and people who are CEOs, and now people with money to connect with the podcast and help spread the word. And I don't know, it's like that cycle. If I could actually get more downloads, I could get more money, which would allow me to hire a real social media manager, which would help the whole process. So that's where we're at.
Good stuff. And just to touch on LinkedIn before we don't talk too much about it. I love LinkedIn. I do what I do. I always say I try to do inspiration with a slice of humor. I share inspiration, positivity, and smiles 24/7. Help other people do the same. So that's the content you see. That's what I put out on LinkedIn. Love the space, and I think it is a space that is going to grow and grow and grow and grow, because at its core, while it keeps trying to get away from being business centric, forever, people are going to switch jobs. They're going to get new jobs. More people are going to come into the workforce. And right now, this is the top platform for that type of networking. So if you think your message could appeal to any of these people, which everybody's hears could in some way, then you got to get on it and figure out how to use it effectively. So that's my 2 cents on LinkedIn. Tom, do you want to share something on that?
No, I mean, I agree with you. I think LinkedIn's a great platform. It's interesting. Joyce is talking about how she doesn't like social media, but she feels like she has to be on social media. I hear that a lot from people. And so I'm always curious. It makes me wonder, is there a way that you could be using social media that you like better? Right? Because I think it's important that you don't do things, especially for your business, that you don't do things like that. You don't have a lot of resistance to the things you're doing, right? That you don't do it because you have to. You should do it because you want to. And maybe that's because you're focused on the net effect that it's going to have, right? For your business, your brand.
I can sort of back up on this. So what I say about social media is the amount of attention it requires. And I actually feel like it's bad for our brains. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion. I don't into the whole making reels and the posts, and I've embraced that part, but I really do feel like the microdosing of narcissism is so bad for us, but that is partly what draws us into maintaining our connection to social media, and that's part of the psychological effect of it. So I think that discussion of how do you connect and use it most effectively, but then break away effectively as well, I think that's the part that I really hate about it, because it is weirdly addictive. And I am not a social media, I didn't even get Facebook until I was like a real grown up. So I'm not part of this world. And I can see how you can just kind of live in this world and kind of feel shitty and think that's how you're supposed to feel. So I know I have to be on it. I am engaging it most effective as I can and to use it most effectively to get attention for the stories I'm sharing. But learning how to stay away from it effectively is also important. So I guess that's where I am on it.
Gotcha. And I think what I was kind of getting at was really that I think inherent to when I hear, and I'm not saying you're saying this, Joyce, but I hear a lot of people say this, that they don't like social media, they don't want to be on it, but they do it begrudgingly because they have to. There is inherent with that kind of thinking is this this resistance to the fact that social media is not going anywhere, right? At the end of the day, social media is not going to go anywhere. So I think it's important that rather than looking at it as, and again, I'm speaking in broad generalities here, and this is not targeted at you, Joyce. It's just what you were saying made me think of this. I think that what we should be doing is, instead of saying, okay, well, I guess I have to deal with social media, even though I hate it. I wish we could go back to like before social media or whatever, because I hear that all the time too. Or we need to get rid of social media. Acknowledge the fact that it's not going anywhere, and then talk about how we can make it better. Right? Rather than trying to fight it wholesale, it's not going away. So I like to think about it in terms of like, how do I interact with it in a productive and maybe healthier way than I have in the past, or I see other people doing, right? And how do we kind of push things in a better direction rather than trying to just avoid them, is kind of my thought. But that's how I approach, interacting with social media, is I try to do it in a way that is healthier for me and maybe pushes things in a better direction. I don't know. That's I don't know. What do you think, Dom?
No, I think you're spot on as far as, I think like when we had Brian in the room before, like all of a sudden, like I see Julie posts pictures with her dog, her French, I think it's a Frenchie or something like that some days, and it's still on message, right? What can I share? Like if I'm out biking, can I share a message that is motivational? If an author sends me a book or I buy one, and can I share that picture of them with the book? So like, are there ways to, rather, like we always talk about, like people get so worried about creating, I got to create something today. Well, what if you just documented what was going on? So to Tom's point, if Tom's documenting his race, if Tom's documenting behind the scenes at a shoot, okay, he's getting ready, he's fixing up his cameras, whatever he's doing, very interesting. And he doesn't have to stress. It shows me as a consumer, Tom's an expert. Look at these cameras. Oh, that camera cost $5,000 or 10 or 20, whatever they cost. Wow, this guy knows what he's doing. He's positioning, and he's able to, without selling out, without thinking, oh, I got to create something today on TikTok where I'm dancing. I'm never going to dance unless I'm with my wife or something like that. But why can't I be me on these platforms? And that's what it's about, being you on the platform, being Cannabis Mom on the platform, being John, being producer Jimmy. This is what you're going to get from me. And once you know that I'm Dominick, I'm not trying to be anybody else. So you might see me falling down. You might see me making slime with my daughter. You might see this, but you're not going to see me talking politics. You're not going to see me doing current events on the news today. I'm not doing it. I don't touch it. I'm doing these things. All right, let's continue before I get wound up again. Hey, I'm going to share a link here. Let's see here. Pin link.
Right.
Pin.
To that end, while you're sharing this link, Dom, I just wanted to say one other thing that popped into my head, right? So I think some of the most successful creators, right, on multiple different platforms, right? So whether it's on YouTube, or it's on TikTok, right, or it's on LinkedIn, or it's on Facebook, or it's on Instagram, some of the most successful creators, right, some of the most successful personalities that have come out from social media are people who have built a brand around being authentically themselves and doing what they are passionate about, right? So like, off the top of my head, I think on TikTok, I think of Elise Myers and Under the Desk News, right? Two people who have created channels on that app that have then taken them off of that app, right? And have grown into business outside of TikTok for them, that are entirely built around who they are, right? And being true to what they want to do on that platform. And then I think, like on YouTube, I think of MKBHD, right? Who has, one of the largest single following channels on YouTube. I forget how many tens of millions of followers he has, but it's crazy. And he built a platform just doing tech reviews, just reviewing things that he was interested in, right? And found success because he was authentic and passionate about what he was doing. So my point to this is that the people who find long-lasting success, right, on sort of social media or media platforms tend not to be the ones that follow trends, right? Tend not to be the ones that do a silly dance because it's it's associated with a trending sound on TikTok or, you know, whatever the case may be. They're not the ones who chase trends. They're the ones that are authentic and create valuable, interesting content. So that's where the focus should be, not on chasing trends or trying to do what you think you're supposed to do on social media, right? Be you. Don't be who you think you should be.
Yeah,
Who
I
you-
don't think you're supposed to point out stuff on your teeth on social media, but I did it anyway.
No, I think that's exactly what you're supposed to do, Jemmy. I think that's exactly because that's who you are, right? And I almost said before, what a very Elise Myers thing to do, right? Because like her platform is built around her talking about her own faults, right? I mean, that's kind of like that was how she started creating content, was just talking about things that mistakes she's made and things that she's done in a kind of silly, humorous way. And yeah, so like pointing out that you have something on your teeth, that's exactly what you should do because that's you, right? And laughing about it, that's you. You're just being you. That's exactly what you should be doing.
Beautiful. Hey, so the video, I'm going to jump in here. One, the video I posted up at the top, the only reason I posted it is because this is something I repurposed from years ago, and I just put it in a short the other day. It's a video that I hope would make somebody smile. A minute, 30 seconds short. I only did it because I thought it would make somebody smile. I had recorded a moment with my kids and the dog, blah, blah, blah. Now I shared it as a short, and because I believe in shorts, I talked about Hoot a couple weeks ago, said, why isn't every video you ever made a short as well? Why aren't you repurposing it? So I share it, and I see now it has 2,000 views. Now those people go to my page. They look at the other content. Now this is just a moment, but once you get them there because they're looking, why wouldn't you repurpose? Okay, and that's one to check out. It's about 40 seconds. Anyway, now this is the exciting time for anybody on the live stream. I don't know if anybody on the live stream. Last week I unveiled some of my toys around the office, weird things that I have behind me, things that make me smile. Okay, so before we did this, before we jumped in the room, the club today, my dad stopped over and dropped off some papers. We sat out looked at the dandelions in my yard. So, and I don't like dandelions. I'm getting ready to spray them. Anyway, this here is the Wolfman, this little character that I'm showing you. I'm holding up a figure that looks like a G.I. Joe, but it has little arms and things like that that don't bend. The reason I share this character today is it sits in my office, and it is a little thing that looks like a werewolf. When my dad, he's a landscaper and worked all kinds of hours and always did, worked hard and was everything for our family. But I'd be home playing with the G.I. Joes and stuff like that. And the Wolfman is the one character my dad always picked up. And here I am, like 5, 6 years old, whatever. And he'd start walking around my G.I. Joes and be like, ooh, and pretend like he was howling. And I would get so scared of this little figure. But why I keep it in my office, it was the effort. Well, this guy had 1,000 things going on. Well, he was tired, all that other stuff. He still made the time to pick up this little wolf and make his son feel special and, tease him and that kind of thing. So love it. And that's the little character, if you're listening to the live stream, that you get to see today. Or if you're watching, I shouldn't say listening to the live stream. I should say watching the live stream. But I guess you could listen and watch a live stream. All right, producer Jimmy, we're going to chat with you, and then we're going to get to Satva, Heather. We got Joyce, Cackles. Interesting. I like Cackles there, I like the name. Leslie, and our friend Beth. So, producer Jimmy, you want to weigh in on any of this?
Sure. Well, first of all, I just want to weigh on Cackles really quickly, because Cackles, once you meet him, you'll understand why his name is Cackles and why he deserves to own that name on the platform. He's amazing. A good guy named Jeff. But anyways, so I want to kind of talk about like repurposing content and that part of the conversation a little bit, because I'm actually doing some of that right now. Today I'm focusing in on some content that's been way overdue. And some of it's timely, some of it's way overdue. The timely stuff, as an example, so I'm taking my podcasting your brand episodes, which I now do on video as well. I created an audiogram of my latest episode. And then I also created a guest clip. And so the audiogram I'm putting on like Instagram and TikTok, and the guest clip, which is so the audiogram is less than 60 seconds. The guest clip is more robust. It's about 3 to 5 minutes. And that one is good. I just posted on YouTube. And so, yeah, you can take one episode, one piece of content, and divvy it up for the different audiences that are there to consume it on different places and in different ways. And so I love the fact that I finally became comfortable on video, because I can now have my show on YouTube as a video, not just a static image. So that's great. But also having all this new this opportunity, it's like opening me up creatively, creatively. That's the word, creatively, because now I'm like understanding how to create these videos, make them a little more fun. And another one that I'm going to be putting together, or actually the one I'm working on right now, is a sizzle reel of samples from our video podcast that we produce. But one that I'm really excited to put up, and I'm going to put up later today or maybe tomorrow. So I don't know if it was on TikTok or what I was on. Maybe it was on Clapper, but I saw someone made a suggestion of how to make a great reel, very, very simply, but I'm like, I think it makes this really powerful. So the idea is to take a video of, anything going on, and just have some deep sounding music and put something, meaningful as an overlay of text, right? Simple recipe. So what I'm going to do is the other day I found a clip from Podfest a couple of years ago where I was on stage, and I had never shared it. Haven't shared it yet because I forgot I had it. So I found it. So I'm like, great, let me use this as a video of me, because it's of me on stage with 3 other women doing a panel. And in the video, it's going to be silent, but it's me gesturing towards the other women and engaging them on stage. And I've decided that what I'm going to put over it, because I really believe it, is women empowering women. And that's all I'm going to say. But just this presentation, this panel that I was on over a year ago, having a video that I can now take and push a specific part of my messaging, my mission, my belief system, my personality, and putting it out there in this other way. I am loving the fact, I'm so grateful for the fact that I finally became comfortable in video, and it's just a lot of fun I'm discovering. So that's really all I wanted to share. Repurposing is awesome, and it's become even more awesome now with video. Thanks, I'm complete.
I love that. Absolutely love that. The idea of taking something from a year ago and really repurposing it, right? And pulling some meaning out of it, looking for other ways to kind of, share something that is pertinent to you, maybe in the space, right? That is pertinent to you in the moment. That is something that's on your mind right now. I don't think it's so easy. And Dom hinted at this earlier. It's so easy to kind of get caught up in this idea of like, I got to create something new. I got to create something new. I got to create something new. And really you don't. You just have to share, right? So you don't have to, it doesn't have to be, and this goes to like my favorite sort of definition of innovation, right? People think of, when you say the word innovation, people think of think of inventing something wholesale from scratch, something brand new that's never been seen before. But actually, innovation is really all about taking things that already exist and using them in novel ways, right? And so that's what Jemmy's doing, is really embracing that spirit of innovation, and using things that already exist, something she's thinking about, women empowering women, right? A piece of video she already has from over a year ago, and innovating and putting them together in a new way that hasn't been done before, right? And it's not, she didn't have to create something brand new that the world has never seen. So don't get hung up on that idea that everything you do has to be brand new, groundbreaking, novel, because that's not what innovation is all about. Right? Innovation is about taking existing things and putting them together in unique ways. So just look for ways to share. Don't look for ways to always sort of create something new. I think maybe this idea, this term creator, kind of puts us in that headspace that we have to make something brand new every time, right? So maybe don't worry about creating something brand new. Maybe just think about sharing what you've got going on, or what's on your mind, or what you're thinking about, what's important to you at this particular moment in time, right? Because those things always change. There's always going to be new stuff happening in your life, new things that are important to you on a daily basis, new things you're thinking about every day. That font, that well, right, will never run dry. So share. Don't feel like you have to create brand new every time.
And if I could add one more thing, Tom, that I also think this is an example of always how you should always keep learning and always be open to, absorbing new information and new ways of doing things and innovative ways of doing things. Because if I had known how to kind of do this reel that I'm composing today, I didn't know how to do that a year ago, right? So why should the video from a year ago miss out on the opportunity of to be displayed in the way that I've now only just learned how to do it? Let me take advantage of something I've just learned and apply it to anything. And that could be something that's old and made new again, because you always should be learning. So thank you for letting me speak one more time.
Producer Jimmy, that I just was watching a Gary Vee video, and he was talking about taking a still image, whatever the still image is, and he was talking in front of still image. So like, let's say that video that you did, or a subject that you talked about a year ago, you on the stage, a picture of you on the stage a year ago. Now you can talk in front of that stage. On this, we talked. I invited the other women up to the stage. Here it is. Think how many items that we all have in our phone or in our computer, wherever, where you could go in, put that still shot there and talk about that. Okay, 30 seconds, 15 seconds. Here's this. Here's author Harry Spade opening his books. What a moment when the author gets to hold their book for the first time. Here's Tom. Here's the point when Tom crossed the finish line. I remember when I crossed that first finish line, what it meant to me, the work, this, but there was a fear. What was the next challenge as soon as I crossed that finish line? So there's so many things you can do. Okay, Satva, what do you got for us, man? How you been? Satva's standing up on something here. What's he standing up on here? Let's see. On Theodore Roosevelt National Park. Okay, what do you got for us, man? Weigh in on these subjects.
Going once. Going twice. Dom, you're on mute, bud. You trying to talk?
Yeah, I was making jokes about Johnny Cash, keeping this train rolling. I said going once. I thought you said going twice. I thought we were really in sync. And instead, I was on mute. That's why this is called Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. Okay, Heather,
we gotta live up to the name, right? We gotta live up to the name.
Yes, at least 10 times an hour. Heather, our dear friend, right beside the TEDx sign. Wow, big timing. Heather, where do you want to weigh in on all this? Go ahead.
Thanks, Dom. You cracked me up. Big timing. About the, I'm like repurpose queen over here, because that is like literally the social media strategy behind a lot of stuff that I do. And that's the repurposing of content, because, and especially if you have evergreen content, which is very helpful. So, around Christmas time, there's, you try to get content and, you're making content and there may be Christmas lights in the background or Christmas themed food, right? Because I work with a lot of restaurants. But that's not evergreen. I can't use that in the middle of summertime. You know, and then there's content. Let's say I'm getting video content outdoors, for outdoor seating, for waterfront dining, or, you know, there's a deck where people could sit. I can't use that content in wintertime because the patios are closed. So the goal is to really get that evergreen content so that it's easier for you to repurpose instead of boxing yourself within, you know, only having content for Christmas, and then you can only use it during Christmas, having content for Easter, but you can only use it during Easter. So just think about how you can create evergreen content and, you know, not including dates on graphics. And if you want to reuse it and repurpose it, making sure you're not saying happy Tuesday morning, but then, you know, you want to use that on a Friday there where you're like, you know, too busy at work and you're like, okay, let me repurpose this, but you can't use that because you have to cut out the good morning, hey, it's Tuesday. So just think about how you can create the content so you can use the content in a repurposing strategy instead of being just boxed in via, you know, like holidays and springtime and seasons and days and months. You know, you want to create that so you can use it any point, anytime, any point of day, any time of year.
Thank you, Heather. How many podcasters, if we have them here, are in the room, and then we'll have somebody like, you know, you're recording the show for 3 weeks from now, or it's going to come out 6 months from now or whatever, and your guest talks about like the Super Bowl that just happened, or they talk about the weather, that it's Christmas coming. Does that happen to you? And does it annoy you? And how do you get around that?
So I'll share real quick. So it does happen every once in a while, and I think for me, when it does happen, it's fine. It doesn't annoy me because it's authentic to how we were recording and our headspace at the time. But then maybe when I'm introducing that episode, I might say recorded right before the Super Bowl, or we recorded it last December or this past December or something like that, you know, it's just to kind of anchor my audience time wise into when the recording took place.
That is very, very smart and answers my question. Hey, Leslie was going to jump, so we're going to go to Leslie and then Joyce and our friend Beth and Cackles. So Leslie, did you want to jump in and add something there?
Hey, everybody. Yeah, actually, I'm going to be jumping on recording today. And I think what you're saying is so apropos with don't follow that rainbow that everybody else is trying to do on the same page of you must do this, you know, or everybody has their own style, their secret sauce. And when you find something that you're tapping into what your heart and your passion is telling you to go for, that is the rainbow. So I'm still navigating through this, but I'm getting really amazing guests on my podcast. And I'm really laser focused as to really what I'm trying to convey and what my message is that I want to put out to this world. So if you continue on that road, just don't give up, have fun with it. And I'm really enjoying this conversation. So hope you all have a great day. Thanks.
Leslie, thank you. We appreciate you anytime you stop by, and thank you for the share as well. I might have a guest for your podcast, so I'm gonna check it out and beg you to have them on. Kidding. All right, let's continue around. Sorry for the bad jokes. I am not a comedian. When I do this show, Bikes and Hikes, and I always say, I said it earlier, I do inspiration with a slice of humor. And the guy I do it with said to me one day, he's like, he was in a comedy group and pitched some stuff to Comedy Central and stuff. And he said, well, that's good because I do comedy with a slice of inspiration. So we're a good pair. So if I try to make jokes, they will be bad jokes. So I don't try to make jokes. Okay. Joyce, what do you got for us today? How you doing? With your wife, mom, speaker, and author of Adventures of Amma and Kwesi in Barbados. Ooh.
That's right, Chrissy.
Yeah. So where do you come down on everything we're talking about?
Yeah, no, this has been a really great conversation. In terms of podcasts, what I've been doing is I have a room on Clubhouse that's been running for nearly 2 years. So we've got like over a year's worth of content in that sense. And we're looking at taking the room that we've created taking it to the next level and making it into a business. And so we're looking at our content, being able to edit all those conversations that we've had on a weekly basis and be able to repurpose them. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at the moment. There's just like a lot of different things going on, and we're just trying to take it step by step. But that's definitely, I think, something that we need to be working on for Q2.
Turning the clubhouse into a business. I wonder, that's interesting. I wonder if you could get an app. Does anybody know this? Could you get an app that would, what do they call that when it writes down all the words of a clubhouse? Can you do that?
What, like, is it like Otter or?
Yeah, you know what? Tom shaking his head. You know what? Like, dictates it. Could you take it and dictate it? And I was wondering, like, same thing with a YouTube video. Once I have a YouTube video already, can I take that video and somehow dictate it?
But transcribe it, I think, is the word you're looking for.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yes, and yeah, you absolutely can.
Okay. Producer Jimmy,
Jimmy, what were you going to say?
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. Yeah, there's Descript, and using Descript, I haven't used it to edit audio, but it's interesting because if you put the audio in there, it actually does transcribe it for you, and then you can actually this is not what I consider best practices for editing, but it is what a lot of people do choose to do. And so you can actually look at the words, and actually as you edit out the words, it'll edit out the audio for you. So that's pretty cool. But in terms of this use, yeah, so you can take the clubhouse room, download that audio, run it through Descript, and there you have it. You have a script of the full room.
Okay, so now back to YouTube. This is how we go down these routes. So let's say I have a year of shows, or can I take? It's already uploaded. So at that point, can you transcribe it?
Yeah, you can take any audio.
Okay, interesting. All right.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it's already uploaded, if you uploaded it, then you have it.
Yeah.
Right?
So I guess what I'm asking is, so we uploaded the video. It was a video. So you're telling me I can go back into YouTube and transcribe it and be able to print out all the words that were in that episode?
I mean, all right. So I guess my question is, if you uploaded it to YouTube, why don't you have the video? Like, why don't you have
the video?
I
want the words. Oh, why don't I have the file? I probably have it somewhere.
Yeah, you have the file, right? Yeah. So then just put the file into Descript. Done.
Okay, interesting. Okay, producer
Jimmy. Quick question: has anyone actually? Yeah, I wanted to find out whether Dominic, you've done this at all with any of your conversations that you've had in Clubhouse. Have you been able to repurpose them, edit them, and then utilize this as content?
100%, yes. So I'm very, like, let's say producer Jimmy was dropping knowledge, or Tom or you. I use those scissors a lot. I will go back in and clip. So some rooms are replayable, some rooms are not. I will go back in and clip things and use that. I'll use it on TikTok. I'll use it on YouTube. I'll use it on Instagram. Clip away. I'll add music to it. And sometimes clip only allows you 30 seconds. I'll go in, put it in my little app. I use a video editor app. I'll screen record it, put it in my video editor app. And then if I want it to be longer than 30 seconds, sometimes Tom's dropping major knowledge and 30 seconds isn't enough. So I'll record the whole minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and share it, add it to YouTube or something like that. So 100% of the time, not to mention screenshots, not to mention intros. Today we talked about this. And then I know Tom's itching to talk about this. Tom, please share how many different ways we are sharing this just today.
Yeah, I mean, so right now we're on Clubhouse, obviously, but we're also live streaming. So we're on my YouTube channel, your YouTube channel. We're on my Facebook, your Facebook. We're on my business's Facebook. We're on my LinkedIn. We're on my Twitter, your Twitter. I forget all the different, I think that's it. Oh, and Twitch as well. So yeah, so we're on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and yeah, I mean, that's, we're sharing it all those places. And then here's the beauty of it. At the end of this show, I will also download the full recording of this. And one of these days, when I have the time, it'll get put out as a podcast episode. So in both and then the video obviously lives on YouTube, and all those other places forever. So we're in we're on 7 different platforms simultaneously. I think that number's right. 7, maybe 8. I don't know. A lot. We're lots of places. It's just, again, it's sort of like, I believe in repackaging and repurposing and pushing content out across platform. And so that's what we're doing. But yeah.
Joyce, how is that for an answer?
Yeah, that's amazing. That completely, took it to another level. I wasn't expecting you to say 7, but yeah, that's definitely shown myself and my co-host the possibilities that we could have or play with our room on a weekly basis.
And think about, like, you in your room, you're on it for an hour, you're on it for 2 hours, whatever. How many minute, 30-second clips? I mean, like, as somebody who believes so much in repurposing, I'm embarrassed to say that I'm not finding 10 clips in every episode. Wow, how lazy am I? I could go out. I mean, it's talk about evergreen, that you could find so many clips of things. Oh, we talked about this, we talked about that. So go for it. All right. We are going to talk to our friend Jamie here, got a new picture as well. This is not the smartest guys in the room. We're going to meet 3 more people, and then Palm is going to give us a wrap up of everything we talked about, from vitamin D to Hootsuite and all these other apps, Descript. We talked about a lot. Jamie, with the new picture, question, tip, what do you got for us?
Well, hi everybody. I just wanted to say hi. Jamie's actually helping her mom right now. We're going through so much paper. I want to say hi, and this is how I get constructive stuff done. Is I have a book. I have a daily calendar, and I do similar things as everyone noted. You just have to write it down to make the time. And, right now is what I do, but, it is Wednesday. I had to come say hi. I've been doing this for a little while now, and it's working. I get shit done. But hi, guys. So, yeah, I'm Jamie Hill. If you don't know, I'm a voiceover artist who likes to sound like Vanellope. I'm getting my stuff done. I've been on Clubhouse forever. Jemmy is my Jemmy and I, because we are Jamie and Jemmy. It's been great on Clubhouse networking, and if you're in this room, you're really lucky, because there's so many gems I've been listening to today. I'm going to be putting my stuff through with lines and words, all these funny clips that I made once upon a time. So it's going to be a fun future. Like, this year is really cool. So I can't really hang out for long, but just be consistent with your planner. And I think that's the best thing to do.
Thank you, Jamie. And I like this idea of just doing it, taking action. What can I do today? It doesn't have to be $10 million. It doesn't have to be $1,000. It doesn't have to cost you money. What can I do today? What action can I take? What video can I post? What content can I put out? That kind of thing. What can I do today? All right. Hey, producer Jimmy, I want to say I showed my wife a video, one of your videos the other day. And Jamie brought this up because it's producer Jimmy, but it says Jamie. And my wife's like, I'm like, hey, this is Jimmy. And my wife's like, it says Jamie. And I'm like, no, it's producer Jimmy. And she was like, no, and I'm like, yeah, but she goes by this and it's spelled like that. And producer Jimmy.
My name was a whole conversation.
Yeah, that's what's going on in Pittsburgh. We're based on your video content. So
it was a wild and crazy day in the Domasky household in Pittsburgh.
That's what my wife gets to enjoy every night. Me having conversation. Here, look at this and read. See, so okay, you are making an impact. Okay, we got Beth in Cackles. So Beth, okay, realtor in Florida. I gotta go. Is it this? Sorry, I'm gonna go. Realtor. Why is it two different things? Is it two different things? So Beth, explain that, and then drop in. We appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, it is a realtor. And we just get lazy and call people call themselves a realtor, but it is a realtor. We have to go by NAR, and that is what NAR tells us, which is the National Realtor Association that we all belong to. Yeah, that's funny. But I've been listening to you guys, and I've been doing some other work here. But you hit on something earlier about being authentic. And, that's what I explain to new agents all the time because they're like, we get hit up, people want us to market here. They want us to, spend money on this thing and that thing. They're like, we don't even like it. And I'm like, then you know what you do? If you like cars, go sponsor a car show or just go walk around the car show, right? Network, do the things that you like because then you're really being authentic, right? If you're on Facebook, join groups. If you walk your dog, join those groups of dog walkers. Or you like to pet your cat, join the pet the cat group. Because when you're authentic, it's easy to network with people. When you're not authentic and you're just trying to fit in, say you throw yourself at a baseball game, you don't even like baseball, you're going to sit there like a knucklehead and people are going to pick up on it. So that was one of the biggest gems I got from y'all today. And I love to play that forward to people all the time. Just be authentic, be yourself, because guess what? You only have your name to back you up. And if you make yourself out to be a knucklehead, that's what people are going to see. But yeah, thanks, Dom.
Here's the thanks for that, Beth, and I'm really glad that I'm always happy to hear when when somebody says they're coming away from being in this room with some value, because that's really the goal. That's why we do this every week, is to hopefully provide some value. Sometimes that's in the form of entertainment, laughing at Dom and I being knuckleheads. And sometimes it's in little nuggets of things that come out of our mouths. So really appreciate you sharing that, Beth. And there's one thing I wanted to say to just kind of expound on that idea a little bit further. So the way we always refer to it here, and the way you'll hear me say it all the time, is be relentlessly authentic, right? So just as authentic as you can be over and over and over again, every place you can be yourself, be relentlessly authentic. And here's the magic. Here's the special sauce to what happens when you do that. When you are incredibly authentic to who you are, when you show up in the spaces in a way that is authentic to you as a person, what ends up happening is that people can relate to you, they can identify with you, and people who share values with you, who are interested in the same things, who find the same things important, who value the same kinds of events and information and all business opportunities, whatever the case may be, right? People who value the same things will start to show up and stay in your orbit, right? And that's the real beauty of it, is that the realtors that you're working with, Beth, when they start showing up authentically and doing things and finding customers and clients in places that are authentic to them, they're going to find repeat customers who will not only come see them or call them every time they're thinking about engaging in a real estate transaction or a move, but they'll also advocate for that realtor. Right? They will advocate for that person because they've had such a good experience, because they are so aligned on values with that person. And it all goes back to that realtor just taking the time to own who they are and to show up authentically every place they go. Right? So it really is a broadly speaking, a winning strategy that goes much deeper than just making the kinds of networking that you do and the kinds of network marketing that you do more palatable to you, right? It actually has a net positive effect on the outcomes of those network marketing opportunities as well. So awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Beth. Really, really glad to hear that you found that useful. Super excited. Chuffed, as the Brits would say.
There you go. Hey, Tom, those excellent points, Beth, you, and a lot of times, like to Beth's point, you're doing the things that you want to do. Let's say it's helping out Habitat for Humanity or something like that, not trying to go to Habitat Humanity because you're not passionate about it or because you think, well, this is where I need to be so people see me there. You do those things to get out in the community, whether it's go to be in the softball league, whether it's to go to the swim team, whether it's to go help out Habitat. And all of a sudden, like Tom's saying, people in those things say, oh, Tom's passionate about EMS work. I too am passionate about EMS. Is that the initials, Tom? EMS? Aren't you trained in life saving?
I mean, I'm a member of a volunteer fire department for sure. So we do volunteer fire service calls, respond to car accidents, EMS calls. So yeah, we run an ambulance and everything too. So yeah.
Okay. So here's Tom. He doesn't pigeon, he's not crowbarring that in, that he does this work with volunteer fire department and things like that. But all of a sudden you might see Tom, a picture or him at an event, and you're like, holy cow, I'm passionate about the volunteer fire department too. Tom does great media work. Now I'm going to choose him because I know this guy doesn't have two heads. I know he gives back to the community. I know he's a nice guy. I like what he stands for. I know what he stands for. And now I'm going to do business with Tom. So I think that is a matter of when you're authentic and showing your true self. All right, so let's go here. Let's see here. The true self. This is bad true self. I just got a text while we were here. Season 2 of Bikes and Hikes starts tonight. And now I'm looking at the thumbnail picture. Man, I didn't have my tan. That's in the winter. We did a polar plunge. So tonight you'll see us jumping in a river in February or something if you want to check out Bikes and Hikes. And that's me being as authentic as can be, I guess, shirtless in public. That's maybe too authentic, but there I am up there. Okay. So Cackles, interesting. So there's 3 people in Cackles' picture, but when I look at it, it is Jeff. And who was it? Producer Jimmy said, oh, you're going to want to meet.
Awesome.
Okay, now the bar has been set. Cackles, what do you got for us, my friend? We need you, Cackles. Okay,
I'm
Jimmy
not
says
even
you're
awake enough to do this right now, but I'll
oh
tell you.
Man, but you got cool shades too. Go on, Cackles.
Hey guys, and thanks, Jimmy. That was really nice of you to do that, to say those things. Okay, so you guys were talking about audio transcripts and whatnot, and I thought that was interesting because my friend and I just built a program that leverages GPT 3.5 and 4, and basically what it does is it takes the audio file, you run it through, then it picks up how many people are talking in the audio. It'll split it up, and then you can label each person's voice. It'll give you clips so you can tell who's who. And then you finish the process, and what it does is creates a complete transcript for each individual person, as well as key takeaways and summary, and a summary of like the key highlights or whatever it is that person said. And it even pulls quotes from what they were saying, and then you can kind of pick and choose the insights and the things that you like from their summaries for each person and use them with your content. So if you go to the chat right now, I shared a link to a tweet that I shared earlier today from a room I did yesterday where I did exactly what I'm talking about. And I was able to pull out some of those key highlights from the room. And there's so many more. That's just a small fraction of what we got. And I might even do other posts with that and with more. But yeah, so if you're interested in testing it and you want to send me a file, I'm happy to give it a whirl. And we may actually stand this up and make it something that people on Clubhouse can use with their replays or whatever they want, really, for a fee. I'm still trying to figure this out. So if you guys would be interested in something like that, let me know. It gives us more reason to bring it to more people.
Whoa,
Cackles,
that's
check
really
DMs.
cool. Go on, producer Jimmy.
Oh no, sorry. I was trying to break in before you unmiked, and I failed. I just wanted to tell Cackles to check his DMs. That was it.
Yeah, there's probably going to be 300 DMs. I mean, Cackles, this Tom, Cackles might be the smartest guy in the room to create something like that. So quite
Hardly.
interesting. I'd love to know how the hell you even do something like that, but that's a whole nother world. But yeah, it's absolutely fascinating, man. I mean, how do you to pick out the key things and stuff like that? Amazing.
I was going to say, let's Cackles, let's chat, because if you guys are looking for a case study or an opportunity to kind of test something like that, then for sure we should talk. Interested, absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, Cackles, like there's so many people right now. Like I'm a publisher of books, and so I love the written word. I want you to develop that word that story and build it. But any tool that can help an author, I'm pro tool. So something, I mean, you could break out videos, you could break out clubhouses, you could break out and really help them build a document. And there's so many people out there right now charging. They interview these authors and charge them $5,000, and then they interview them for 20 minutes or an hour, and then that's their book. And I'm not pro that, but all of a sudden, hey, if you needed a book in 25 minutes, there's only one way you're getting a book in 25 minutes is have somebody record you talking or something like that. So there is a lot of value there in so many different ways. So quite interesting.
Totes. Yeah, I'll check my back channels from whoever sent me one, and we'll talk.
There you go, man. Okay. Well, on that note, man, I just want to say thank you for everybody who stopped by today. We appreciate you. We can get off on tangents. We can go left. We can go right. But you guys make it happen, and we're so appreciative. So Tom usually takes us home. He says it's no pressure, and I appreciate Tom for taking us home, because I don't have the my wrap up would not be as good as Tom. So Tom, have at it.
Thanks, Dom. So we talked about a lot of different things today. It would be incredibly difficult for me to try to summarize everything we've talked about. Jamie, sorry, not Jamie. Jamie just said you're the best ADHD show ever. But anyway, yeah, we talked about so many different things. I would have no way of knowing where to even start to try to summarize it. So I'm not gonna. What I'm gonna do instead is Liza Sperling, who's in the audience right now, commented in the chat that she said, "Nice room, y'all. Helping me with my tiny habit to run 10 minutes a day. Can you tell I hate running?" And so I wanted to offer a counterintuitive solution to Liza, right? Don't try to run for 10 minutes. Nobody likes running for 10 minutes. I run 6 or 7 days a week right now because I'm specifically training for a running race. I don't like running for 10 minutes, and I run 6 or 7 days a week, right? It usually takes me 10, 15, 20 minutes even before I'm actually kind of like feeling good in my stride on a run. Okay. So don't try to run for 10 minutes. Here's what I would recommend. Instead of trying to do that minimum, set your bar a little higher. Go out for a walk for an hour, right? And during the course of that walk, commit to running for 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be 10 minutes straight. It could be, for 5 minutes twice, right? So in the first 30 minutes, you run for 5 minutes. In the second 30 minutes, you run for 5 minutes, right? It could be 2 minutes, 5 times, right? Whatever works for you. So I would tackle it that way. Go out for an hour-long walk, right? And work in 10 minutes of running. And then you're going to find that 10 minutes of running very quickly is kind of not a big challenge, even when you do 10 minutes running straight in the middle of it. And then you can start tacking onto it. And you can work yourself up to being able to run for longer than 10 minutes, which actually gets you to a point where you actually really start to enjoy your runs. I learned this from my wife, Becky, who is a long distance runner, has been running for a lot longer than I have. And she used to tell me all the time, and it seemed crazy to me, but she used to tell me all the time, and she'd go out for a run and she wouldn't even be having fun or feel good until 1.5 miles to sometimes 3 miles into a run. Often mile 3 is when she starts to really kind of feel good and find her stride, right? And I think the broader lesson here is it goes towards sort of consistency and commitment, right? So I think you need to commit to doing something more than just 10 minutes, right? So commit to going for a longer walk and working 10 minutes of running into that longer walk. So commit first, and then be consistent in your follow through on that commitment. That is the only way that I've been able to go from somebody who used to smoke a pack of cigarettes a day to doing 2 Ironmans, to running marathons, and all of those kinds of things. So if it wasn't for that, commitment over time, I never would have been able to do any of those things. And it all starts with something small, but I think you should start with, raise that bar a little bit higher, right? Start with a good commitment. 10 minutes isn't a commitment, right? 10 minutes is gone in a flash. So start with a commitment and then follow through on that commitment over time. Be consistent in following through on that commitment, and you'll find success eventually, right? So I think that's where I'm going to leave it today. Thank you so much for everybody, to everybody for being here. Thank you for those of you who've stuck it out to the bitter end. Thank you for everybody who came through and was not able to stick it out to the better end. Really appreciate all you guys. Love you guys. Wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. You're the reason we do this every week. So thank you. And I hope everybody has a great week until we see you again next Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, for Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. Until then, have a great one, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.